I mentioned some of the teams that are involved. You have the Lightning, Sabres. He's from Buffalo. Florida seems like a landing spot. Carolina, Dallas, and the Maple Leafs. I saw John Shannon report that he's already had a meeting with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
In Oakville. He's training in Oakville.
So I don't know how that would work, but my next question is, how much, if you're a GM of one of these teams, are you willing to pay for Patrick Kane?
Well, speaking of Larry Brooks, infamous New York Rangers reporter, said the Rangers are out.
Yeah,
they're not going to be in on him. If I'm a team, now again, I'm not going to sign him with any term. It's just going to be to the rest of the season. It'd probably be a prorated deal. Think about it. He's going to sign the next couple weeks, end of November, early December. Probably got to practice a little bit before he gets in the lineup. So you're thinking about maybe mid-December he plays, right? Maybe $1 million.
You think that's what he wants, though? He wants to play on a contender.
And exactly.
According to all reports, he wants to play with a contender.
Right.
I mean, and if there's a bidding war between 4 or 5 teams, that number is going to go north of $1 million, and it'll probably go to the team with the most cap space.
Yeah, but then again, it's up to Patrick Kane can determine what matters to him the most. Does he want to win? Does he want to play on a prominent role on a contending team? Or does he just want to be in a locker room with the best opportunity to win no matter his role? And will he sacrifice his ego? Because again, he's a superstar, right? He's probably the greatest American-born player of all time, right? With respects to Roenick, Madonna, Hull, right? Well, Brett Hull's born in Canada.
He's American.
American-born player,
okay.
right?
Austin Matthews.
So don't put him.
I'm just saying.
Austin Matthews had a long, long way to go to ever sniff what Patrick Kane has done in this league. Okay?
That's fine. It's so easy to trigger you. It's unbelievable.
And I hate Patrick Kane. He's caused me a lot of tears in my life.
As a Canucks fan.
Right? But if I'm Patrick Kane, I want to go to the best situation that means the most to me and my family. Right? Is that winning? Then if you're going to win, then I would say, like you mentioned, a team like Florida, a team like Dallas, a team like...
I think all the teams I mentioned
are
minus the Buffalo Sabres. They're on the cusp of being a playoff team.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about them as being contenders, and he's from Buffalo, so it kind of makes sense. But I just... reports are suggesting that he wants to go on a team and be a true contributor. He doesn't want to be a bit part player. He wants to be a top 6 guy. He wants to be on the top power play unit. If you're saying you want to be on a contender, you want to contribute, and that's what we have to expect from Patrick Kane, I just don't think that's possible with him at this moment. Even if he didn't have this surgery, he's still got a ton of miles on him. 1,100 plus games throughout his entire career.
And that's not including playoff games too, right? So. Look, a team that I kind of would want him to see him play for, the Detroit Red Wings. I think he'd be wonderful in Detroit. It's close to home in Buffalo.
Yeah, but again, not a contender.
They're third in the Atlantic Division.
They're not Justin, Stanley Cup contender, the Detroit Red Wings?
Are you telling me this, right? Right now, if the playoffs were to start today, they'd play Florida in the first round.
They'd be in the playoffs, so you could consider them a contender because they're in the playoffs.
But him and DeBrincat have chemistry before from their times in Chicago, right? Put him on the top line. Put him on that top line with Dylan Larkin and DeBrincat, right? You have something there, Albert.
That's one line. Even Yzerman said himself they're ahead of schedule based on the way that they're playing.
I understand that,
they're not even
right?
expected to be in the playoffs
I understand that, Albert, but things in sports move ahead of schedule. Nobody expected...
So you think Patrick Kane's a missing piece for the Detroit Red Wings to win the Stanley Cup? Come on, you're smiling.
I'm saying this. I think Patrick Kane fit-wise would be very good in Detroit. I think him with DeBrincat, Larkin, and that roster they have there, I would be very interested. Look, you got Lucas Raymond, David Perron. You have some...
But we were just talking about how he's not going to be that Patrick Kane. So what are you expecting him to contribute?
But things
like let's say from December 1st to the end of the season.
Right.
Give me a goal mark for Patrick Kane.
If Patrick Kane get you 10 goals and
10 goals, that's gonna make the Detroit Red Wings a Stanley Cup contender. Bringing in a player that scores 10 goals.
Okay, look at this. Let's look at
They might not even make the playoffs.
Let's look at the teams that you just mentioned. Okay, is he gonna play in the top 6 in Toronto? Is he going to play in the top 6 in Toronto?
Probably not.
Exactly. Is he going to play in the top 6 in Tampa Bay?
No.
Is he going to play in the top 6 in Florida?
Possibly.
Potentially. But then again...
And that's more because they have injuries.
Exactly. But once those guys come back from injury, is he going to play in the top 6? No. Dallas.
Okay.
No. So what I'm saying,
So what you're telling me is that... Hold on. But what you're telling me is by bringing in Patrick Kane it doesn't truly make you a legit cup contender.
No, it's not. Pat,
so then what's the point? If he wants to be on a cup contender and wants to be a contributing piece to the team, then why would he go to Detroit?
Does he? We don't know what he wants. By all reports, is he wants to play.
He's not playing just to come back and play.
Exactly. So does he want to play on? Does he want to take any role on a contending team and deal with the ramifications and swallow his ego, like I mentioned before, or does he want to play on a good team but have a bit more of a prominent role, like Detroit, who's on a Stanley Cup contender, but he can play more of a prominent role for a team that will probably be in the playoffs this year?
If he wanted to just come back just to play, he would sign a cheap deal and play with Bedard in Chicago.
I don't think so.
If he just wanted to play, Chicago would 100% do that.
Optically,
they have the cap space to do it. They pay him $1 million. He can play.
Optically, it would not look good.
What do you mean optically?
He said his goodbyes to Chicago. He can't go back. They moved in a different direction.
Or he would just go to the Sabres.
But think about this: if you're the Chicago Blackhawks, why would you bring back probably the greatest player in franchise history back when you're just trying to start a new era? You can't go backwards, right?
No, I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if he just wanted to play, he can just go play in Chicago. He can just go play in Buffalo because he's from Buffalo. But he doesn't want to do that. He wants to go to a team where, again, he can contend and really contribute.
Detroit's third in the Atlantic Division, brother.
They have no chance to win the Stanley Cup.
But then again, out
of the teams that I just listed, the Lightning, with Vasilevsky coming back, cup contender. The Sabres, not a cup contender. The Panthers, absolutely. Carolina Hurricanes, absolutely. The Stars, yes. Maple Leafs, make fun of them if you want to, but they're in that conversation.
You just said on Monday they're not a Stanley Cup contender.
Well, I'm saying they can't win the Stanley Cup with the team that they have.
So they're not a Stanley Cup contender.
You know what I'm saying. So I think out of those teams, he's probably looking at that. Like, I can join those teams and make a difference.
He's not coming to the Leafs. Okay, there's going to be
probably not. They have no cap space, and we'll get to that in our next segment when we're talking about Zadorov going to the Leafs. I don't know how that's going to happen. If you have no cap, even if he wants a super discount at $1 million, they still can't afford him.
Yeah, it's true. Look, I think the best situation, because I think Patrick Kane wants to stay in the Eastern Conference. I don't think he wants to go back out west, considering where he's from and all of that. He's training in Toronto and all of that. I just think, look, Detroit makes a lot of sense to me. It does.
Yeah, I mean, it fits, but they're not winning.
Think about this.
I'm sorry.
A young upcoming Canucks team signed which former Leaf? Matt Sundin, right? Now, although he didn't play a whole lot in Vancouver, guys like Ryan Kessler were said that Matt Sundin made a great impact in the short time that he was there to teach him how to be a pro, how to deal with certain different things, right? I'm saying this, regardless, the Wings might make the playoffs this year. They could win a round, they could win a few games, whatever. This is the beginning of the Yzer plan. If a guy like Patrick Kane comes in and can give some wisdom to young players like Larkin and DeBrincat and the Lucas Raymonds, the young core they're building in Detroit, that could be just as beneficial, right?
But I don't think that's what he wants to do. His time as a professional hockey player in the NHL is limited. It might be a year, it might be a half a year, maybe it's 2 years if he bounces back and that this new technology that we have with surgeries, and he comes back as maybe 70 or 80% of the player that he was.
That's saying a lot.
That's saying a lot, right? So in this small window that he has to make the most of it. Yeah. Why would he be like, well, you know what? I can just go to Detroit and I can mentor some guys. But what the hell's the point of coming back? He has the money, he has the cups.
But that's what I'm saying. With Detroit, he'll also play in the top 6 as well, Albert.
They're not winning the Stanley Cup, Justin Pooney.
If he wants to win the Stanley Cup, Albert, what I'm trying to say is he's not going to play in the top 6 is what you're telling me he wants to do.
Right. But I think he'd be willing to take that reduced role to play on a contender.
So you're telling me he comes to Toronto, right? Hypothetically speaking, everybody in this office gets the wish they want. You get the heartbreak, and Austin Matthews is holding it from behind like Jack and rolls the Titanic.
For the record, I don't want Patrick Kane in Toronto, but go ahead.
Other Leaf fans in the building do, okay? Say, for example, he does it. Is Patrick Kane going to be okay in Toronto every day getting talked to the media about, why are you only playing 10 minutes a game? Did you think he wants that?
If there's someone who can deal with it, it's a vet like him.
Patrick Kane and the media haven't always had the best relationship.
Yeah, it's true, but listen, he's been through it.
Ryan Reeves has been put to the ringer already. He's getting benched now.
Let's not make that comparison.
I'm not saying on the ice. I'm saying in the locker room, the media, perceptive like that. Ryan Reeves has had to talk to the media every single day, right?
That's what it is.
And now he's getting thrown in the press box, right? Imagine Patrick Kane. And it would be so Leafs if they did this. It would follow the likes of bringing old, washed-up players like Giordano, Thornton, Foligno, Spezza,
have some respect for
Marleau,
Mark Giordano.
Lindros, Brian Leach. The list goes on. Jason Allison, Jason Blake.
I'll agree with you on that. It does reek of a Maple Leafs signing.
It stinks.
Doesn't mean it'll be bad.
And how did all those work out?
Yeah, not so well.
None of them worked out. So if I'm the Maple Leafs, stay as far away from this as possible because you don't want to bring in a washed-up Patrick Kane to the Maple Leafs because it's just going to fit with that stench and that just the reek of desperation to grab headlines about bringing in Patrick Kane. It's disgusting.
The guy who wants Patrick Kane to go play for the Detroit Red Wings and mentor and potentially win them a Stanley Cup just called them washed. I just wanted to mention that right off the top.